All right, so it has been almost exactly 1 year since I purchased the Sirui Anamorphic Adapter. And I can say without a doubt, having used it on many short films, commercials, hype videos for sports, and other kinds of content, that it is a professional tool. It is not something that you're kind of using as a step in between. Anamorphic adapters have been and are still professional tools for professional cinematographers. However, in this video, I want to talk about, since the rise of full-frame anamorphic glass has gotten so cheap lately, and I myself has bought into the Blazar Remus line, whether anamorphic adapters are even still useful and worth the money, or are they becoming more of a gimmick than anything else? The main issue people really have with anamorphic adapters is that it doesn't really give the anamorphic characteristics that they want. But that isn't the point of anamorphic. The point of anamorphic is to get extra image. It's essentially like cheating yourself into a larger sensor. Essentially, you know, if you think of yourself having a 16:9 sensor, the more squeeze you add, the more light you're just compressing onto that sensor. And essentially, it's just a speed booster. If your sensor is 16:9, adding anamorphic makes it just a little bit wider. And depending on the kind of sensor you get, this Sirui 1.25x anamorphic adapter will give you about a 2:4 to 1 aspect ratio straight out of camera. Again, depending on your sensor, I have used this anamorphic adapter on Red cameras with their 2:1 sensors. I've used it on this Lumix camera with, I get a 17:9 picture, and then plenty of other cameras, Canon, Sony, all that'll give you a 16:9 picture. And with pretty much minimal cropping on the side of the frame, you can get a 2:39 or 2:40 aspect ratio straight out of camera, and you don't have to crop the top and bottom. And you might be thinking, oh, okay, that's really nice. I don't have to crop my image anymore. But what's really happening is on a camera like a Red, you're getting about 50% more image, because instead of losing part of your image, you're gaining more image. So with a 1.25x anamorphic adapter, out of the box, assuming you weren't going to crop otherwise, you're getting 25% extra image. Now, you can just subtract whatever percentage you were going to crop from your image, and that could be up to 50% more image just off of adding this adapter. Now, I know I talked earlier about how anamorphic is really just about stretching the image and getting a large format widescreen look. However, that's not why a lot of us like to shoot anamorphic, and it's certainly not why I like to shoot anamorphic. I like shooting anamorphic simply because of the character. I love the swirly background. I love the flares I get out of it. I love the fall off on the edges of the frame. That's why I shoot anamorphic. It gives me a nice vintage look that I really, really like, and reminds me of a lot of my favorite films from when I was a kid that used specifically Series C Panavision lenses. I love the look of those lenses, and I find that this anamorphic adapter in particular gets me close to that look without having to break the bank. And obviously you can't even buy those lenses. So getting that look as a solo filmmaker or as a production company can be very difficult unless you have a large budget. Now, the Sirui anamorphic adapter, as I said earlier, doesn't inherently contain a lot of these anamorphic characteristics. So you might be wondering, why would I even get this adapter or any adapter at all, considering the plethora of full frame and Super 35 anamorphic lenses out there that are relatively cheap. In Hollywood, dating back all the way to the early 1900s, anamorphic adapters were thrown on top of what we call taking lenses. And those are the lenses that you put the adapter onto. And that lens needs to have those anamorphic characteristics in order for you to get these really strong anamorphic characteristics into your image. Now, right now I'm shooting on the Nikon 50mm 1.8G, and because of its fast aperture, because of its swirly nature by itself without the adapter at all, and because of some of its focus fall off on the sides, again without the adapter, all it does is enhance that look. If you think of it as, oh, the edges of my frame of my lens normally usually have some fall off and they have some swirl, what the anamorphic adapter does is, as it's squeezing the image, you're getting more of that effect on the side. It's simply enhancing what's already in the lens. So if your lens is sharp, the adapter is going to keep it pretty sharp. If your lens is soft, it's going to make it a little bit softer. If it has fall off, it's going to add more fall off, chromatic aberrations, everything like that. All right, first, I really do want to talk about the pros and the cons of using an anamorphic adapter, and specifically this one. Now, let's get the easiest one out of the way, is cost. This is $500 brand new, and there are constantly sales going on B&H, Adorama, and Amazon that let you get this for like 400 bucks. You can get it $350 on eBay, lightly used. It's honestly an absolute steal for the cost to be able to shoot anamorphic. And that leads me into my next point. You can put it on any lens you want to. This goes on anything from a 28mm all the way up to an 85mm. It is absolutely insane. You can cover pretty much everything you need to. Anything wider than a 28, you'll get vignetting. Anything longer than an 85, and you'll get chromatic aberration and some breakup in your image. But that's not the worst thing at all, and if you want to work around that, you absolutely can. Most anamorphics don't even go that wide anyways, and if you need to shoot that tight, diopters are always an option. Now, obviously, there are some huge cons when it comes to using anamorphic adapters. The biggest one is time. Taking this off of one lens and putting it onto another can take 30 seconds to a minute, which is a whole lot longer than a lens swap that takes about 10 seconds. There are definitely some issues when it comes to using this anamorphic adapter, but I think that the pros definitely outweigh the cons as long as you don't need to move really fast. And if you need to move really fast and you're shooting a commercial or a TV show or whatever it is, you probably have the budget to actually invest in some real anamorphic glass, and I suggest that you do. Now, another one of the really big pros that come with using this anamorphic adapter, again, you get to choose the lens you use. Now, I suggested earlier that you should put it on taking lenses that already give you that anamorphic look. For example, I am still on that Nikon 50mm 1.8G, and yes, I am shooting wide open because I can with this lens. Most actual anamorphic lenses, even though they might open up to 1.8 or 2, which is incredibly fast for an anamorphic lens, still would have a lot of softness and chromatic aberrations and a lot of other issues that you really wouldn't want to run into when shooting anamorphic. And most people stop it down to, I do personally, a 2.8/4 split, or sometimes I'm even shooting as high as a 5.6 because it's easy to get the look I want out of that aperture from that lens. Now, you get to bypass that when using, first off, a 1.25x anamorphic adapter. I would not be able to shoot this fast with something like the Blazar Nero. It's a 1.5x anamorphic adapter. It would in no way work with this lens. It would look probably pretty bad. There'd be too much artifacting going on. There'd be too much chromatic aberrations. This is a great middle ground, and I think it works wonderfully. You get really nice swirl out of the background. You get some nice bokeh. You lose out on the oval bokeh, but the flares out of this lens are nice. And that's another thing you get to pick when using this anamorphic adapter is how the flares look. Different taking lenses equal different flares. Obviously, everything I've said in this video is completely and 100% subjective. You can have your own opinion, and if you do, please leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are. If you have different anamorphic adapters you like or different anamorphic lenses you like, leave them in the comments below. But I really like this adapter. My thoughts are, it has the barrel distortion, it has the fall off, it has the swirl, it has everything I like about it. It looks better than any of Sirui's standalone anamorphic lenses, and I know this is meant to kind of be paired with those, but my opinion and my take is this looks better than any of Sirui's actual lenses. I don't know why you would buy any of Sirui's lenses when this adapter that performs better with any other lens other than theirs. It just looks better. It just is better. I like it, and I would really suggest to anybody else who's looking at buying any Sirui lenses, don't buy them. Use this. I've used the Sirui lenses. I personally do not like them. This lens gives more of that anamorphic look. You get less squeeze out of it, sure, but it gives you the actual look. And so if you're looking for that oval bokeh or those streaky flares, by all means, go for those Sirui lenses. But if you want the real anamorphic look, this will get you there. It looks pretty similar to the Blazar Remus's other than the actual squeeze ratio. But I absolutely love it. It's a great solution for filmmakers looking to shoot anamorphic on a budget, get that widescreen look on a budget, get a little closer to your subjects, and get a shallower depth of field than you would on a normal anamorphic lens or even spherical glass. This is honestly kind of one beat all solution if you don't have a lot of budget. For me, I bought this a year ago when I didn't have, honestly, any filmmaking budget. My production company really wasn't up and running yet, but it's turned out to be an incredible asset, and I have paid for it multiple times over by clients who've asked me to shoot anamorphic. And for probably every job I do, I probably get paid $300 to $800 just to shoot anamorphic instead of spherical, and that obviously pays for itself. So if you're looking to kind of get into that world, this is a great way to do it. It's also got an incredible focus throw on it for all the nerds out there. I think it's got a 270-degree focus throw. So if you want smooth focus pulls, this will absolutely do that. It's got a ton of other pros, which I've talked about in my other videos. Go to my channel, check those out. But for now, just let me know your thoughts on the anamorphic adapter. Leave them in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon.